The strongback is that vertical structure just behind the vehicle that you see there on your screen.
Strongback lower has started.
And there's that call out that the strongback retraction has begun. Now, again, what you're going to see is those clamp arms just below the fairing are going to begin to open up. And once they're fully open, that'll make way for the transporter erector to move away from the vehicle. Now the TE, or the transporter erector, is carrying the propellant, electrical, and gas lines to stage 2, as well as the payload. And there you can see on your screen that those clamp arms are now opening up. This is a good view here because you'll be able to see that TE start to move away from the vehicle. It's pretty slow, but you should be able to see it here in a few seconds. And there you can see that TE starting to move away from the vehicle. And once Falcon 9 commands for liftoff, hydraulic cylinders pull the strongback even further away, again to that position about 45 degrees above the pad deck. Now we are coming up on liquid oxygen loading completion at the T-minus 3-minute mark. Now, for some reason,
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
There's that call out we were waiting for. Stage one liquid oxygen loading is now complete. If for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow, January 15th at 10:09 p.m. Eastern Time. Currently, weather is green and the range is ready to support a T0 of 10:09 p.m. Eastern Time. And the landers continue to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the vehicle. Next coming up will be at T-minus 2 minutes. We should hear the call out for propellant loading.
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
Right on time. That is stage 2 LOX load complete. That means propellant loading is now fully complete on Falcon 9. The vehicle is now fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. And just a correction, it is 1:11 a.m. Eastern Time for liftoff tonight.
Gas launch closeouts has started.
Now that the propellant loading is complete, we should begin to see venting coming from the transporter erector. That is just clearing out those propellant lines from the TE in preparation for liftoff.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Third call out. This means that the Falcon vehicle's internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. We're now just waiting for the final go from the launch director.
LD, go for launch.
And great news, we are go for launch, so let's watch as Falcon 9 takes our 2 lunar payloads out to space.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff. Go fly, go ice space, go fast. Vehicles pitching downrange.
plus 30 seconds into launch, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. Now the vehicle is going vertically, but it will begin to move horizontally. We're going to gimbal those.
Falcon 9 power and telemetry are nominal.
We're going to gimbal those engines. We're still going up, but now
Engine pressure is nominal.
now we
Vehicle
will
was supersonic.
be moving horizontally, and that helps the vehicle get into orbit and avoid being pulled back down to Earth. Now we are coming up on max Q. This is the largest structural load that the vehicle will see during ascent.
Max Q.
There's that call out. We've passed through max Q. And we do have a few events coming up in quick succession. That'll be MECO, stage separation, and SES-1. MECO is main engine cutoff, and that's where we will shut down all 9 of those M1D engines that you see there burning bright on your screen. That prepares the vehicle for stage separation. That's when the first and second stages separate from each other, and the first stage will begin to make its way back down to Earth, while the second stage carries the payloads and continues with its journey with SES-1, or second stage engine start 1. And that's where we will ignite the MVAC engine on the second stage, and shortly afterwards we will have SECO, where the vehicle will coast. So we are coming up on those 3 events that I just mentioned: MECO, stage separation, and SES-1 in just about 20 seconds from now. Some really cool tracking views here of Falcon 9 and those 9 Merlin M1D engines burning bright there.
MECO. Stage separation confirmed. MVAC ignition.
And great views. We watched as we shut down those 9 Merlin M1D engines, stage separation, and now you can see there on your screen that MVAC engine has ignited, again carrying the 2 lunar landers aboard Falcon 9's second stage. And there on your left-hand screen, you can see that the first stage is deploying its grid fins. Those hypersonic grid fins will help guide the vehicle back down to Earth. And in about 15 seconds or so, we will also have fairing deploy. We have the fairing protecting the payloads through ascent. But once we're in the vacuum of space, we no longer need that protection, so we will jettison those fairing halves.
The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC. Go. Guidance. Go. Fido. Go. Prop.
Go.
GNC. Go. Max.
Go.
Eagle. Go. Ecom.
Go pending final steps to cabin link check.
2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you could need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
And good morning. Boy, we're mighty big.
Good morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did
We're
that happen?
up close and personal here.
Yeah, that's a little too up close. There
There
we
we
go. Look, Ryan, we're back home. We did it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're gonna trim ourselves. Look at that. So you know
Now-
exactly who we are.
Now it feels like we're home again.
It does. It does.
And-
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the show. I am, of course, Ed, the cosmic surfer, the traveler of the universe, Odell.
And I'm Ryan the Freak Jones here.
And you,
Angie gave me a weird look when I call myself Ryan the Freak Jones, but she knows. She knows what's up.
And welcome to What's Going Down. This is the show that's giving you up to date as possible events and science breaking news all through the world. We got some really good stuff today, I think. I think we do.
Yeah.
I think we do.
I had the pleasure, the unpleasure of spending the morning talking to Xfinity about my phone bill.
Oh, do
So,
tell.
yeah, that's how I spent my day, but it's all good. Everything's straightened out. We're good to go. Looking forward to chatting.
Got everything down now.
Yeah, everything is good to go.
Nice. What's been going on? Because didn't y'all just have some stuff go down? I know you and Rhonda had a good show last night, right?
We did a show on the evidence caught at the cabin on 360, and that was a lot of fun. So it's always good to be able to show off some of the stuff that we've caught out there. And I mean, as far as what's going down here, like on my side, it's not much really. The weather had really been putting a damper on everything, not really being able to go out and do much. But finally it's thawing out, and we're able to see grass and get out a little bit more. Like paranormal wise, we have investigation at the cabin on the 21st of February, and then we have other investigations. They're having other investigations coming up within the next few months leading up to.
Now that's public events at the cabin.
Yeah.
I didn't know, because listen, everybody needs to know that Ryan is a part of two groups. He's a part of CROP and ASPS. So when we're talking, we're going to try to make sure we're clear which group and where he's talking.
Yeah, that's crop. And ASPS, we've got some, we've got some things on the burner.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah,
in the future.
We're working with Daryl Plott. We may be venturing to Appomattox, which we'll be talking about Sunday night. He'll be on the show with Rodney Anderson. And we are looking at a few places in North Carolina, that is. And I do believe there's prospects right here in Roanoke on two events. So we'll see what the year brings. We're really looking to new places and those locations that haven't been really tapped. So Ryan and I can tell you that's what we prefer. That's preferred, because that's where we broke our virginity at. Was
Yeah,
a location
yeah.
that no one ever got to. And I can say I think we're both pretty lucky, and I think we've talked about this before, how we've been pretty lucky about getting into locations where or at being asked to be a part of, there we go, of an investigation that's never been investigated or very lightly investigated. So I think that's
I think most of our investigations have been at places that haven't really been investigated that much. And like you said, we're lucky to be able. We have people who want us to join them on those types of investigations.
that's right. I like it. I agree with it. I agree with it.
How was your birthday?
Birthday was actually pretty good. I'm not gonna sit here and go, oh, it was good. It was, except for the weather, of course. It was so freaking cold. But we met up with some friends Saturday afternoon. They drove in from Carolina. We were going to hook up with Sean and Courtney from Hill City, but they had other things going on. So we went out to dinner, had a really good time, came back, relaxed, just chilled. I'm not gonna lie, we were a little tipsy. Okay, we were a little tipsy. It was.
I mean, it happens. It's your birthday.
You know what? I got to give mad props, Ryan. If you and the little lady have not partaken in this restaurant, I do believe there's one in Richmond. You have to go check out Mellow Mushroom.
Oh, we've been to Mellow Mushroom.
Have you? Oh.
Yeah, we even to the one in Short Pump.
Okay.
It's great food.
Oh my gosh, and it's not just the food. I mean, it is a restaurant, but it's more adult oriented too. And of course, okay, Mellow Mushroom, that's a given. Or if you're asking Mellow Mushroom, yes, it's exactly what it says and exactly the atmosphere.
Yes.
So, full bar, great food, amazing menu. Their pizzas are to die for. Definitely.
Yeah, I was talking about pizza earlier because I had to take Kimmy to work, and I guess Angie's mom was going to buy her a pizza or something. I'm like, man, pizza sounds good. So now, talking about Mellow Mushroom, it's like a sign.
It is
that I need to get a pizza.
If we were on the Orion Effect, I would have gone for the wand and made sure it happened for you.
Yeah,
I'll do that for you. So
the universe is talking to me right now. It's saying I need a pizza.
That's right. I want to say hello to everybody out there. If you're tuning in and just watching, jump into chat, say hello, and let us know you're there. Good morning, Michelle Wilfong. She's on the other side of the world.
Okay, I don't see her chat showing up on my end of the thing here. Yeah, I don't see anybody.
I've got good morning, and I got 8 a.m. here with the 3 brew coffee, us 3, and a 3 in the corner. Actually, I'm wondering, with you said with Verizon, I think they're tweaking Restream again. So get ready for some changes, you guys. They keep changing, but look, unlike Blog Talk, Ryan, you know what I'm talking about. It's for the better. Every time Restream does something, it betters your experience with us. We have to relearn stuff. We have to constantly keep up with Restream just to figure out what the hell's going on, like the Windows.
Yeah.
And the chat. But it's
not hard to figure out. It's not like rocket science. Once you play around with it, it's pretty easy to figure out. There was some lagging on the intro.
Oh,
I'm not sure if that's just my computer, but
I think it was, brother, because mine was smooth.
Okay, so good.
It could be bouncing no matter where you're at. It could be a little bouncing. We apologize for that, you guys. There's nothing we can do. It might be internet connection. Restream is showing full power. You're showing full power, Ryan. So I don't know. It's a good question.
There wasn't any problem with the videos we were showing yesterday. So that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah.
Was like when people trying to show their evidence if it was, but it was fine.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Restream going through changes. I was wondering if that was the case, but probably just the computer.
Yeah, it could be any of the above. That's the one thing. One of the above. I have to give a shout out. I got my cup, so Sam knows I'm on target, dude. I got you. want everybody to see I got my Hargrave Military Academy cup,
Nice.
my mug, supporting my academy and the Alumni Association out there. So I want to make sure that the Commandant of Hargrave, Sam Redding, knows that I'm drinking that cup, drinking that cup, drinking that cup. So let's get on with it because I think we got some really good stuff going on. As always, you guys, you saw that we opened up with the moon launch. I wanted to do something different for you guys and give you more experience while you're waiting for us to get on air, because it does take us a little time to get on air. We have to get the studio together. We've got to get wording together, music, etc. So this gives us time to do that. So providing something like that and being a public domain, I want to be able to do that for y'all. So I thought that was a great idea. Let's push forward into that. And what better than to do it with the moon rocket, right?
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what are we watching? That's really cool. And like it's like you said, it makes it more interactive. You feel like you're doing something while you're waiting on us to start the show, and it goes on good with what our our topics of conversation are.
Right. Oh, absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. So, how do we usually do this, Ryan?
We usually start off with the sun, I believe.
We get a little bit of we got a little Tabitha Scoff, don't Dr. Tabitha Scoff in the house. That is most recent yesterday. We caught her.
Wow, that's really recent.
Yeah, 18 hours ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. We're giving you your solar update. Some people are like, what is this about? Actually, if you're a paranormal researcher, you're a spiritualist, if you're into that, you want to know what the sun is doing. Trust me. So many advancements in this field of what we're understanding that we are trying to provide as much information to you on this show and out there as a connection, as a community as possible. So one of the things is you want to find a meteorologist and astrologist that is excellent. And there's so many out there, but I recommend Dr. Tabitha Scoff. She's an amazing woman, and we're going to check her out. Just a second, we'll give you a few minutes. Let's get her set up if we should. Tabitha's in the house.
Space weather this week is calming down a bit compared to last week. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, we do still have a lot of active regions in Earth view, with the fray being led by region 4366. This region is continuing to fire big solar flares, but it's nothing like the X factor we had last week. Also, because of the configuration of this magnetic field of this region, it really has a lot of open field all in here, so it hasn't really been firing any big solar storms. All of the big solar storm material is located right around up in here. And so most of the solar storms that have been launched with this region have been going northward of Earth. So sadly, we just got nothing. And now this region is rotating out of the Earth strike zone. So we're not going to expect much more from it. We will be still seeing medium-sized solar flares. So R2 level radio blackouts are possible, likely more like R1 level. And it will continue to fire as it rotates around the Earth-facing disk. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders, you've got about 2 or 3 more.
Okay, I have to pause it just for a second. And we can talk about this because this is something you and I have never done, is stop her.
Yeah.
But I think this is an opportunity to explain some people. Did y'all hear what she just said? Blackouts. Now, the blackouts can be on cellular level. It can be on your computer level. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle's saying possibly a lag, internet issues here too. You know what? Again, here we are. We're talking about it. It could be solar flares. It very well could be. So what does this mean? It can affect your paranormal research equipment, whatever you go to. It could actually affect compasses. Yeah. For those old schoolers, watch it. And it can actually affect us physically. And when you feel like you're getting a cold or something, it might not even be that. It could be astrological and what we're happening right now. So I want to stop that and let everybody kind of understand why are we putting out astrological yeah, astrological videos and promoting Dr. Tabitha Scoff. Let me continue, then we'll talk about it.
Days of this to deal with, and then the noise kind of calms down just a little bit. But meanwhile, as we take a look at the rest of the disk, well, we have been watching a couple filaments. You can see one here and one here, but they've been pretty quiescent. The magnetic field configuration isn't really set up so much to kind of stress these filaments out very much, so they're going to pretty much stay pretty stable. We have kind of watched them, a bit of the plasma move back and forth a little bit, but nothing has really escaped. As we take a closer look at it, you can see here's one of them right here. It kind of gets a little bit destabilized, but it really doesn't launch. So we will be keeping an eye on these filaments here, but that's likely not the big story. We're going to be paying attention to this region here shortly, because that one has really got a bit more of a story to tell. The other story here is happening on the east limb. You can see these two regions here. These are some old friends rotating in from the sun's far side. These two regions, last rotation, ended up giving us some big solar flares and solar storms, so we're expecting it again. As we take a look at it in SDO AIA imagery, you can see all of these different coronal loops, but then we extend that by really defining it out with some SUVI imagery all the way out into the middle corona. You can actually see some of these loops, and if you take a really close look, you can actually see that the loops are connected. So it shows that these two regions are sympathetically tied to one another, so likely if one fires, the other will, and that is going to mean we're going to have some big solar flares from these regions. So we're going to have to pay close attention to that as they rotate into Earth view here over the next.
So we're going to definitely keep you guys in the loop, and this is how we do it, at least one of the ways we do it. Let me get this set here. I'm trying to get my board back on track. There we go.
Yeah.
So, it's at least it's calm. Like last week, you all heard what she said. Last week was a lot of solar flares. I heard a lot of people, Ryan, in the spiritual realm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The other
Yeah.
side. A lot of people were talking about how it seemed like the energy was weird and all this was going on. Well, here you go. That's a very good possibility on why. It's not all spiritual. Sometimes you got to have that science to have an understanding of exactly what's going on. Just my point of view.
Yeah, and then like we said before, it's usually not something that comes straight to mind when you're dealing with stuff. Oh, it could be a solar flare.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently there was a big solar storm not too long ago. That that could have caused some damage.
Yeah. Yep. I think it was 3 weeks ago. And in fact, I think they're building up for another one, because I was watching, I want to say was it Mark Tillerman? I think it was Mark Tillerman. He was talking about something's building up, and he showed where there was a huge creation being built. You could see it in the sun, and it wasn't doing anything but building. It was getting brighter and brighter. So he was talking about how he's really concerned about this one that could, if that thing launches out. Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's because we're paying attention more. It seems like all this stuff is happening, but it's like, has this stuff been going on the whole time? And now we're just noticing it because we're actually looking at the videos of it, or it's something that we've been dealing with for all of our lives. It just haven't really connected the dots to, figure out that's what it was.
I'm going to go with both, man. I'm going to go with both. Just based on our research alone, as we went through 15 years ago, if you will, whatever, the amount of research probability that we built to then to now, and knowing how this affects things, gives a better understanding of what the possibility was or could be to certain events on the outside of the locations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For instance, the possible. What I say, what I felt at the time, was a possible manifestation of a spirit down in the basement area of our first location. I don't know now. I don't know. Could it been ions firing off? Could it have been uh, a static ball? Any of this is possible now. Without a solid form, we're all in the question. We just don't know. But we're getting closer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you have an idea of what it could be, and then you learn more stuff, and you're like, well, maybe it wasn't that at all. So it starts the process all over again.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
I think that's what they were talking about. It's like everything's constantly learning. We're constantly learning.
But if you add more options to what it could be, will you ever really find out if it's like, well, it could be this, now it could be this? It's like, unless it's right in front of you, you don't know.
Touche. As your good friends that go on before you, I got to give a little props to Hill City on their show last night. They had a really great show, and they were talking about just that. And if you didn't check it out, go check it out. Check out their archive. It was a really good point. And it's exactly what Ryan's talking about right now. Very valid points and really getting in depth on it. And, that might be something we might want to consider even on this show or on probably Paranormal Outlaws, is getting deep into this discussion. I think this is the discussion we should have with the next ride. I think this would be a great conversation piece. I got to write that shit down.
Is there such thing as just having too much information where it's almost you become overloaded and you're like, okay, well, I don't know what's up and what's down anymore because there's so much stuff out there.
Have you ever felt burned out?
Yeah.
You don't want to do it. I think that's one of those moments. You just got into so much, and there's so much, and Lord forbid if we even talk about the paradrama, that it's just so much there that you just literally just you fizzle out. You need to recharge your batteries. You need to step away, and it's okay to step away.
Yeah, and with everything going on with AI and all that stuff, and trying to figure out what's even real or not. Used to be when someone put out a piece of evidence, it was them faking it, But now you can tell, but now it's
hey, we're not saying you guys fake it.
No,
don't even come at us at that.
A lot easier to tell if someone was faking something, like putting out a picture of 1,000 little dust orbs and calling it paranormal. You can figure that out.
Yeah.
But now they have so much stuff that's really good that if you actually do put out a good piece of evidence, or people were like, oh, that's got to be AI.
Yeah, you're right. You were exactly right. And I didn't even think about that factor. That is, well, I did, because a lot of groups and creators, several of our friends, that people we know that are on YouTube that create content, are complaining about others because that's exactly what they're doing. They're using AI to get viewers, and that's bullshit.
It's for them. It's not the people who are using the AI. It's not about putting out content. It's about getting the clicks.
Yeah,
people watching the videos because then they can charge through the ads and stuff, and it would make money that way. And it's tough on the people who actually do their research and put out good stuff, because maybe they won't have like something as flashy as some of the other people that fake it do.
True.
It's like the more the more we learn and more stuff that's out there, the harder it is for the people who try to keep it basic.
Yeah.
I use Chat GPT to help me write the blurbs for the show, stuff like that. Or if, I'll make a picture for like a graphic for the show, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
you use it for, the doctor and stuff. So it has its benefits,
It
but
does.
at the same time, it's like, again, it's almost like overwhelming from the other way. Like the bad stuff can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Michelle.
Yep, she's here. She's here. She says, almost feels like competition. So many investigators not competing, documenting by experience. Don't get me started. That's like starting a lawnmower and letting it go all day. I could definitely jump into that statement. However, I gave paradrama. Yes, is real. Yes, it is. I don't want to jump right into that because what she said can be a very sensitive subject. It really can. But I agree. We have 3 times the amount of research teams out there today than there has been in 10 years. And everybody thinks they're doing it right.
It makes you wonder how many people are doing it because they enjoy it. Like,
yeah,
I do it because I like it. I'm not, obviously don't have a channel, I have like a channel, or as far as like, I don't record my investigation. I'll put stuff up. If I get something, I'll put it out there, but it's like, it makes you wonder, like, how many people are like, oh, I'm going to be doing it because I want to make money for it. And it's just it's not there. There's too many people trying to get a piece of the pie, and there's not enough pie to go around.
Yeah. And if you are posting, you're giving out a location, and that's encouraging people to go there. And if that location is not an encourageable location to investigate, they're going to get bombarded, and they don't want to be bombarded. So you just made a mistake. But then again, on the flip side, there's that catch-22 on that flip of that coin. If it is a location that needs the experience of being out there, if they need promotion, and we are putting it out there and telling people where it's located, etc., we're exposing them even better. So there's a 22 to it. Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, there are a lot of good people out there. A lot of people that we know that are good, that do it the right way. And I hate for them for all their work, because it's hard work to set up the cameras, do the interviews, go home, do the investigation, go home, watch all the stuff, put it out there for people to see, and then only get like 500 views or something. And people who are using AI, they get like 2,000.
Yeah. And again, yeah, exactly right. And those people getting 2,000 are getting however money over that, they're getting paid for that, and for just shitty content. It's not even. And
dumbest stuff. Like, press like if you love Jesus, and you'll be able to see this ghost video, or and it's like, oh my god, and you look at it, it's got 1 million views, and it's all like praise Jesus all the way down in the comment section.
Yep.
Or if you love your mom, press like, and I will show you this picture of Bigfoot, and or I love my mom. If I don't press like, I must not like her. It's
it's a good psychological factor, though. You got to think about it. They are hitting. They're hitting that point of making you feel manipulated and feeling bad about yourself, or feeling bad about a situation when they bring a conversation. But all it is a clickbait.
If you hate God, go ahead and scroll. But if you love him, put a heart in the comments or something like that. Oh, and people are like, oh, I don't want to get struck by lightning.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that gets me now, and I'm just going to talk about now. Michelle said, I wanted an answer. It's much bigger than we can imagine. And I agree, Michelle. I agree with you. I completely agree with you on that one. It is much bigger than we anticipated. I've been talking to a lot of people about that. One of the other things is
videos. That's the way to go.
Yep. There you go. Absolutely. I don't want to get paid. I only want to short videos. It's about learning. Exactly right. You're right. And I was actually getting ready to say something about that. It's interesting to me, Ryan, that it doesn't, and this is all the shows on our network. I'm not going to go talk about our associates in other networks,
Mhm.
but just ours. It's amazing to me how we could put out a show that is pure and good and gives a lot of great information, and we can help people and talk to people, and they're not interested in it. They rather go see. I'm going to say it like this: they rather go watch a guy acting like a female, dressed like a guy, dressed like a female.
Did he take himself off? Hang on. Did you take yourself off of the thing there?
No, I sure
Okay.
didn't. That was weird. That's why I was like, "What the hell?"
Is Big Brother watching us right now?
Oh, it makes me wonder. I'm just going to say it. There's a lot of uh, content creators out there. Their shows are just it's shit, and they're just there to grab your attention like a freaking cartoon. Where these shows that we put on, educational, mentoring, etc., and we get low ratings.
No, yeah. We have our base audience, which we love having, who join us every week. And, sometimes we'll get people coming in. But the way we do things isn't like, hey, what's up? How's it going? You're not like all up in your face
Yeah.
type of.
We're not showing, we're not going out there, hey, give us, we used to. We're not in your face going, share us, like us, share us, like us, share us, like us, share us, like us. That's bullying.
But if you want to share and like us, we're not going to complain about it. Just saying.
No.
Yeah. We're not against it. Don't get me wrong.
Get us out there. But
Right.
we're not.
Smash that like button.
Smash burger. Sorry.
We don't have the flashy thumbnails and all that stuff.
In retrospect, the network has grown significantly ever since since you've been here. Our graphics are better. We're delivering a better grade video. Our presentations are better. And that's just coming along with progression of any show or any network. So it is good. And Restream props them again, giving us the tools to do so.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy being able to come on here, and talk to people, and
yeah,
it's fun. Hang on, I got one. Let me get your dog's trying to get in the house.
Go ahead. You do think so? While Ryan's going to do his thing, I got another short that I want to show you guys. It's only like 15 seconds, but we got a bunch of shorts, but it's also giving you some information. Now, this is from January 26th. Okay, let's throw through it.
It's
now that was based on January, and we do have some things that we want to talk about in February as far as that goes. I'm going to bring that up. There we go. We've got that. Okay, Tegan, give me a second. So give me a second. I'm going to load up Tegan's video, and then we can move forward for that. Because Ryan, I think you got some stuff to this morning, don't you?
I do. Let's see here. Go ahead, and I have two things here. You can share. This was basically me finding an article right before the show started, because I was like, I had some ideas of what you do this morning, but like I said, I was dealing with Xfinity all morning, so
sometimes the best.
Found some good stuff.
Yeah, is right.
This one is. Let's see here. Where's the video? Let's play the video rather than trying to read the whole thing. You see the video, okay?
Yeah, looks good.
All right.
Looks good.
They were reportedly smuggled out of Russia more than 30 years ago by legendary investigative reporter George Knapp, without the KGB being any the wiser. The files apparently revealed the Soviet Union quietly ran multiple UFO investigation programs, tracking thousands of reports of strange crafts and close encounters and claimed abductions, even while publicly, by the way, dismissing UFOs as American propaganda. Now, the documents, they stop short of any final conclusions, but they do make one thing clear. If these documents are true, this phenomenon was taken seriously at the highest levels of government. Joining me right now, former FBI agent, veteran UFO investigator, and host of Discovery Plus's UFO Witness, Ben Hansen. Ben, thanks so much for taking the
Ben
time.
Hansen.
There we
What
go.
was your biggest revelation regarding these Russian files?
Well, I'm glad that George, finally put him out there in the public. He's been talking about this for years. Those, who know that he went to Russia, it's kind of like a spy novel, the way that he had to smuggle him out, because he made connections with military and Ministry of Defense personnel who I think wanted to share this information. They wanted the world to know. But yet people higher up the food chain perhaps were not so enthusiastic. So he had these stack of documents, and some of them still said classified on the cover sheet. So he took the cover sheet off of it and then put it amongst his other documents to get out of the country and into our country so that he wouldn't be charged with espionage. As we go through them, I think the most amazing thing is they had mass sighting events, one in particular that took place in the 80s, I believe, in a small town where there was like a 450-foot sized jellyfish, looking object that came within hundreds of feet above the people. Hundreds of people saw it, kind of like our Phoenix Lights incident in 97, and yet we hear nothing about it on our side of the world.
Why did the incidents go up after 1978? Wasn't that strange?
Well, I mean, we did have a flap of sightings here in the U.S. in the 70s. We had some of the most famous cases, like the 1975 Travis Walton case, Coin Copter, late 70s. A lot of people want to attribute that to possibly the movies that were coming out at the time, Close Encounters and Star Wars and such. But I think that this was a global phenomena, and while we were having our spike, I think they too were seeing an increase for whatever reason.
By the way, I got to ask you about the map. I mean, you saw me lay it all out there. Did you notice any pattern there? Feels like a very random assortment of states where you see the most likely places to be abducted and the least likely. Can you see any factors here, any circumstances that would explain that?
Well, first, I think it's awesome that a Canadian sports betting, company was doing this. Like, what are your odds? And you could look at it as good odds or bad odds. Do you want to live there or don't you? Right? So that's kind of funny. But
a lot of people probably will. They're waiting for it.
And when you're real estate,
hell no, I'm not over there.
Depending on this, I don't know. But my undergrad was sociology. So as a sociologist, I'm looking at this and I'm like, is there reporting biasness here? Is there a cultural aspect to why more people might report they're being abducted or not? The patterns we do see, though, from all these reports is we're seeing a higher concentration near the coastal areas and large bodies of water. So I can see that kind of with Florida, New Hampshire. We have historic sightings there, the Great Lakes region. You go up into Oregon, keep Portland weird. They've always had stuff going on there. But it's hard to say if we have any solid, takeaways from this quite yet, but it definitely highlights these are areas that we need to study.
I'm so naive. I was like, New Mexico, desert, open area. Why wouldn't that be the place?
Well, Roswell, right? You're looking at places like that, and you're like, that's your best chance of being abducted. But then we have to define, well, what is abduction? They didn't study the veracity of the claim. Just that people reported it. So are people more likely or open to this subject in these certain states?
If this was a test, I would have failed it. I would have failed it 100%. So I'm glad I didn't take it. Ben Hansen, thanks so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching.
Dude, that's
that was
awesome.
interesting.
That was very interesting. I try not to be humorous, but man, you got to be looking at what they're talking about, the locations. Is there something wrong with the water up north? Just saying.
I mean, I've heard stories,
right? But these are valid points, though, on what he's bringing out and what they brought. I mean, look, there's specific states. Hey, this is a state I want to move to. If I want to get off this earth, I'm going to move to this state. It's intriguing, and I love that bringing that out, and then of course, with the beginning of actually talking about the Russian paperwork, and it makes you wonder if that's legit, if that's conspiracy theory, based theory. George is a man that you suppose that everybody can trust. Why would he fake anything like that or say he's got stuff? Now that I will say straight.
Well, that's when you're dealing with what he does. you know, you can't fake stuff, because if you get caught, then your whole way of life is, gone, because people won't trust you.
Now, how about this scenario? What if the Russians gave him the paperwork? Gave him in and said, send it the word. Let the word see what we got going on. Send it off. That way, they're not being looked at as a bunch of ufologists freaking out. But there have been major things in the Russian lands over hundreds of years of things going on. But we all know how Russia can be. That they're like that quiet. Let's see. How do I want to put this? They're just a person in the corner keeping quiet because they want to keep their secrets to themselves. Maybe this was a way of letting it out without them having to admit to it.
I mean, it could be, but he would say 30 years he was holding on to it or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think
maybe he was waiting for like the people who were in that time. I guess it would have been KGB. Oh, 30 years. I keep thinking 30 years is like the 1950s or something like that. 30 years was like
it was in the 80s, dude.
Yeah. It's still KGB.
And so if it was 86, 87, right? Think about this. What else was George connected with? Who else was George connected with 86, 87, and 88? That's an interesting point within itself.
Well, look, it was 30 years ago. I can't do the math in my head, so it's not going to happen.
It's all good.
1995. What was 30 years ago? So it might be 1990. No, it can't be 1996.
It'd be 85, wouldn't it? No.
Is it?
Yeah, 85, 86. It would be 86.
Okay. So it's still KGB, old school Russia.
Yeah, so it's just on the break of the end.
If he was smuggling stuff out, that's like when people, back in the day, they'd come up beside you and stick a needle in you, and you'd be dead.
Yeah.
I listened to the Y-Files. I know what happened to people who say stuff about stuff they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Y-Files, that EVP, what am I talking about? That EVP, that podcast they did in the basement last Friday, I would definitely recommend listening to that one.
Oh man, big time.
For sure.
I actually got my brother hooked on that. I said, dude, you got to see this one. If any of them that you watch, you have to go and watch this one. I told Jimmy the same thing. I was like, you guys got to see this one. It was
eye-opening.
It was. And I love it's interesting that AJ does that show, but doesn't believe shit. That's interesting.
You would think that'd be like, okay, some of it would start rubbing off.
Yeah.
On him. Be like, okay, maybe this actually is happening.
He says he's more of a believer now than he was, but he's still not a believer. And I think it's good for the world to have skeptics, though. I really do. I will say that.
I mean, I think you can be a skeptic, but still be a believer. It's like, I'm more of a believer, but I'm not. It's like, how is that even possible? You don't have to believe everything. Yeah. Like, I personally don't believe in the Jersey Devil. I don't think it's real, but that doesn't mean I don't believe in Bigfoot. I don't believe in, it's you have to like, just because you say you're a believer doesn't mean you have to believe in every single thing that people say. So,
well said. You're exactly right. And well put, Ryan. Well put. And that's the same thing as far as just the paranormal itself. And there's people who dive so deep into the science, the history, and the mythology that, they get wrapped up in breaking it down to the littlest parts, where there's other people that just do it with the flow, find out what they're experiencing, and happy with that. But both people are happy. Maybe there's investigators that never, ever have come across anything and they continue still doing it. Or maybe there's, Ghostbusters that have gotten a couple experiences, but they're still involved. And maybe there's those people that tried it like 2 or 3 times, said, oh, this is bullshit. Okay. Paranormal doesn't live 24/7.
Yeah, it's like if they don't get something, then obviously ghosts don't exist.
Mhm.
You know, it's like when you go take your car is running and you hear a bunch of noises and it barely moves, and then you take it to the mechanic and it works and it sounds fine. And it's like, well, obviously, then the sound wasn't real because the mechanic doesn't hear it.
Right.
You know.
Right. Exactly. That was a great metaphor, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So we want to catch y'all up to this is February, of course, and let's get y'all into February.
Woo!
Yay! Finally. Let's see what you got going on.
Hello, everybody. I'm here with High Point. Thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's episode of What is in the Night Sky this month. Tonight, I'm going to be taking you through a beautiful tour of the night sky in the month of February. Now, we're going to be visiting several deep sky objects, some on the Messier catalog, open clusters, and even some galaxies. We're also going to take a look at what our nearest neighbors, the planets and the moon, are up to this month as well. So as always, buckle in and let's see what's really out there. So as we did in January, we're going to start this tour off in the realms of our own solar system, see what the moon and planets are up to this month. Mars and Neptune are too close to the sun to be observable this month, but every other planet can be seen in the evening sky. Mercury becomes visible around the 8th onwards and can be seen low in the west-southwest approximately 15 to 20 minutes after sunset. Look for a thin crescent moon just to its right on the 18th before it reaches greatest elongation from the sun on the 19th. Venus will also be emerging into the evening twilight later this month, with the two worlds just 4.5 degrees apart on the 26th and the 27th. By this time you'll need binoculars to spot Mercury, but the pair will fit within the same 10 by 50 field of view, with Mercury appearing to the upper right of Venus. Now Saturn clings into the western horizon and is joined by the crescent moon on the 19th, while Uranus is still within the same 10 by 50 binocular field as the Pleiades star cluster. Jupiter continues to shine brilliantly near Castor and Pollux in Gemini and can be seen throughout the evening and early morning hours. A waxing gibbous moon passes by on the 26th. Lastly, the month begins with a full snow moon in Cancer on the 1st, followed by a new moon in Aquarius on February 17th. So for our next stop, we're going to stay within the realm of our solar system and talk a little bit about the moon as it passes in front of the Pleiades star cluster. This is called an occultation, but this time the moon is barely going to graze the Pleiades cluster. On February 23rd, many observers in North America will get the chance to see this for themselves when the nearly first quarter moon will skim across the northwesterly edge of the Pleiades star cluster. Observers in the Midwest and West are favored as the event starts late in the evening for East Coast observers, when both objects are sinking low in the west. Now for the next stop on our tour, we are moving outwards away from our solar system, heading light years into the galaxy, and we're going to take a look at Messier 44, the Beehive Cluster. The famed Beehive Cluster in Cancer is visible to the naked eye if your skies are dark enough. You'll find it roughly between the stars Castor and Pollux in the constellation Gemini and Regulus in the constellation of Leo. Now, while this is a fine sight in binoculars, it's a little too large for telescopes unless you're using a very low magnification. It's great to view this cluster under dark skies. The stars are vibrant, they're bright, and they're very fun to look at against a dark background. So from Messier 44, the Beehive Cluster, we will head out towards our next stop in the tour, and this is a double star known as Gamma Leonis or Algeba. Algeba is a famous double star that's one of the handful that can be enjoyed with both binoculars and a telescope. Almost any pair of binoculars will show a golden star with a wide, fainter blue companion, but With a telescope around 90 times magnification, you will split the gold star into two components, a gold primary and a slightly fainter pale gold secondary. Now, double stars are great for that beginner amateur astronomer. If you have the ability to zoom in 90 times magnification, seeing the two gold and pale gold companion stars next to each other is quite a sight. And the great thing about double stars is that they can be viewed in very light polluted areas, and you don't need a dark sky sight to enjoy them. Now, from Algeba, we head towards Messier 48, which is a small and faint open cluster. On February 19th of 1771, a French astronomer by the name of Charles Messier found this object and labeled it a very faint cluster without nebulosity. He mistakenly charted it, and it was nearly a century and a half later, in the year 1934, where it was confirmed, and then in 1959 was confirmed again by another astronomer. T.F. Morris was the astronomer who confirmed the match. Today, M48 can be seen with binoculars and is a fine telescopic target spanning the diameter of the full moon. A little tricky to locate, M48 is roughly 12 degrees southwest of the head of Hydra and 14 degrees southwest of Procyon. The two stars in Canis Minor will point to it. The scattered open cluster is bright enough to see with binoculars, but is best seen with a telescope at low power. Now, from this interesting little star cluster, we're going to head outwards far past the reaches of our own galaxy and take a look at a pair of galaxies that is a favorite for visual astronomers and astrophotographers alike. Messier 81 and 82, Bode's Galaxy, and the Cigar Galaxy. Galaxy season is almost here, but we can get an early start with Messier 81 and 82 in the constellation of Ursa Major. Detectable with binoculars, this duo can be seen together within the same low-powered telescopic field of view, around 40 times magnification, and photographs well with smart telescopes. Like I mentioned, either of these is a fantastic target for astrophotographers. If you have a long focal length, you can get up close and personal on Bode's Galaxy or even Messier 82, the Cigar Galaxy. But if you have a wide field telescope, you can capture both galaxies in the same field of view, and maybe, if you have dark skies, you can capture some of that IFN surrounding both galaxies. Well, that is it for our tour here in the month of February. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comments. But if you also observed or photographed any of these objects, tell us. Were you under dark skies? Were you under light polluted skies? What kind of equipment did you use to see or photograph these objects? We love to hear from you guys. Again, I am Tegan with High Point. Thank you so much, and clear skies.
Wow.
So I think that's really cool. And that's something else that I've been, wow, I didn't mean to do that one. We went reversal now. And I was like, no, backwards, the other way. I think that's something that's cool that I really want to be able to do for our, our audience and travelers, is to see what astrological points are. And maybe there's some astrologists out there that might catch this and go, man, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other people, you get your telescope out and go find these stars. Go find out what this is about.
I haven't thought about taking binoculars and looking up at the stars, because, I mean, you always think about telescopes as far for that, but if you have a pair of binoculars, just look up and see what you can see.
Yep, absolutely. I've got one more thing that I can share with you that's about updated science, because that's what this is all about. So if you're tuning in and going, what is this about? It's about ufology. It's about science in all departments, if you will. Mythology. We like to bring everything. So if there's something new that breaks, we try to bring it to you as if it's that important. That's a good way of putting it. So I've got one more thing, but Ryan, you got anything else we want to jump up?
I've got a video on Kurt Cobain.
Oh, talking about Off the Circle. Okay.
Yes, if that's okay. Let's see here.
Absolutely. Share. Rock feed.
A new peer-reviewed study was recently released that formally challenges the official ruling on Kurt Cobain's death. The paper, published in the International Journal of Forensic Sciences, presents a forensic argument that the death was a homicide. It's an academic report written by a team of specialists, including ballistic experts, chemists, and medical examiners. Although this study was published in a smaller open access journal, not the major industry standard. However, the lead author, Brian Burnett, is a heavyweight. He's a court-accepted expert in gunshot residue, who's previously published in the top-tier Journal of Forensic Sciences. In this new report, they analyzed the original autopsy, the shotgun mechanics, and the crime scene photos. Their conclusion is that the official police narrative is scientifically impossible. The report breaks down 4 specific technical areas that they argue point to foul play: the gun, the blood, the drugs, and the position of the body. First is the gun. The police have always stated that Kurt gripped the barrel with his left hand to steady it, but this new study argues that is physically impossible with the specific weapon. Kurt used a Remington Model 11 shotgun. The gun has a mechanical quirk. The barrel has to slide backward to kick out the empty shell when you fire. The experts state that if you held the barrel like the police say Kurt did, the gun jams. It cannot eject the shell because your hand blocks the movement. However, at the scene, the shell was ejected and found lying on the floor. The study concludes that for the shell to eject, Kurt's hand could not have been gripping the barrel. And if his hand wasn't on the barrel, they argue that he couldn't have pulled the trigger in the manner described by police. Second is the blood evidence. When a shotgun is fired that close, it creates a backspatter, spray of blood back onto the weapon and the shooter. The study notes that there was blood inside the vents on the end of the gun. However, Kurt's left hand, which was supposedly gripping that exact spot, was completely clean. No blood spray. The authors say that if his hand was there, it would have been covered in evidence, but it wasn't. Third is the toxicology. We know Kurt had a massive amount of heroin in his system. The study claims it was enough to knock him out in seconds. The experts allege that it is highly unlikely he could have injected that much heroin, put his drug kit away, rolled down his sleeves, and then picked up a gun before passing out. They also point to a mark on Kurt's arm. They describe a puncture wound that looks like it came from a different type of needle than the ones found in his kit. They suggest this could be evidence that someone else administered the injection. And then there is the note. For years, fans have argued about the handwriting, and this study scrutinizes the top half of the letter, which reads like a letter about quitting the band and matches Kurt's handwriting. But the bottom 4 lines, the only part that actually mentions taking his life, the report says the writing style completely shifts, becoming larger, suggesting a second author. Finally, they allege the body was moved. They analyzed how the blood dried on Kurt's clothes. They argue that gravity tells the story. The blood flow suggests his hand was initially hanging forward, but it was found lying flat. They also noticed his pants were bunched up high on his legs, which they say is consistent with the body being dragged by the feet. The paper concludes with a definitive statement in the abstract, reading, Kurt Cobain was a homicide victim. His body was moved and staged. Now, the Seattle police have stood by the ruling for 30 years, and despite this new 10-point forensic report, the authorities are standing their ground. When contacted by the Daily Mail, a spokesperson for the Kings County Medical Examiner's Office said they've seen, quote, nothing to date that would warrant reopening the case. The Seattle Police Department was even more blunt, stating, quote, our detective concluded that he died by suicide, and this continues to be the position held by this department. But the publication of this paper marks the first time forensic experts have put their names on a peer-reviewed document challenging that ruling. Ultimately, the official ruling stands. The Seattle police consider this a closed case. Critics of the new report argue that the journal itself is a lower-tier publication that lacks the rigorous peer review of major academic titles. But at the end of the day, this is a subject that's been highly debated for years. Fans will look at the official story, weigh the credibility of this new report, and decide for themselves. That's your latest update right here from Rockfeed. Be sure.
Okay. I'm not a fan of grunge. Never have been, probably never will be. I respect what Cobain and many of them attempted or were doing with the culture. I'll say that. But as I reflect on what this is saying, I reflect back to the 60s and 70s and all the major influential individuals who either supposedly committed suicide or death by questionable activity to go through, and it makes me want to go through the 80s and see if this shit happened too, because it makes me wonder now about other certain events. But bringing it into the 90s, and Kurt, were they unbodied because they were influential in a direction for that youth and deemed radical and dangerous? You're muted. I can't hear you.
Was hit the microphone. It's something that could be considered. The fact, to me, it's like they see what happened. Oh, it's got to be a suicide, and they just put it down as suicide. They don't really try to just what they were talking about, all the stuff that was going on with the hand and stuff seems pretty obvious if you just do a little bit of looking around, that this might not be a suicide, but it may have been like, well, this it's easier just to call it suicide and be done with it, rather than trying to figure out who actually did it. If you have that opinion of someone and their music, they'd be like, okay, well, it's a suicide. We'll just call it a suicide, because I'm not going to take the time to try and figure out what really happened.
Because why should I?
He was on drugs. Why do I need to bother trying to figure out what's happening?
We are talking about the 90s, where majority of the cops weren't even into grunge. I'm sure they weren't listening to grunge, and they found it monotonous because they were early Gen Xers. Let's be honest with it, who were still stuck in their style of music. So why should they care? They don't care. They just see another heroin user.
Yeah, it's just one less person to worry about. And they're probably like, oh, he probably would have died anyways, eventually, because of all the stuff that's in his system. Why do I need to bother figuring out what really happened if it looks like a suicide? We'll just call it that and be done with it. And it's not like it is now, where we have, armchair detectives figuring stuff out just by looking at videos. And so, like, we didn't have the internet. If someone said, and back then, if a police officer said that this is what happened, they had the credibility, where it's like, okay, this is what happened, because everyone respected the police.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. Absolutely. All right, so we're right there at the top of the hour, you guys. We're going to end this up with the video that is set up. It's the February science news.
Awesome.
Ryan, who do you got going? What do you got going on for Tuesday?
Tuesday, we've got medium, psychic medium readings. I can't even talk today. Readings with Chris Garcia.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow night on the TikTok, we've got Cole Hollow Paranormal joining us. And then Sunday, we've got the freaking awesome playlist. We were talking about all the new music we've discovered within the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I think she said the modern. Yeah, got it. Right. I'm going to touch base back with her to make sure I'm doing it right.
I'm the same way. I'm like, I hope this is the right list. It's still music. I could just say, like, you guys know, if it's I could, I mean, yeah, sure. I found this a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
But all my songs are that way. Some artists that have been around for a while, but the songs I've just discovered.
Songs to discover. Songs are what they are at that period of time.
Exactly.
Join us on the Orion Effect on Sunday night before the freaking awesome playlist at 7 p.m. as Rhonda and I speak with the gentleman from Bedford Paranormal, Bedford, Virginia,
Nice.
or Appomattox, Virginia, if you will. Ronnie Anderson and Daryl Platt. We're excited about talking to them and hearing about Appomattox and what could be going on in that whole area. So yeah, we're gonna have fun with that.
Exciting. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I think I missed the show, having a show last week, man. I was going through withdrawals.
Dude, I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna put us against the Super Bowl. No way. Even though I heard that something sucked. I
Yeah.
heard the beginning something sucked, and I heard the show altered of it sucked. Didn't matter. The fact it was a Super Bowl, and there was not going to be those who are attending that should. So I was like, and Rhonda was just like, "What do you think?" I'm like, let's just call this. We know how it is, and only certain holidays. And if the show falls on certain holidays, now we're going to look at those holidays too. So
Yeah.
we made a smart move.
I think so. Super Bowl is definitely something. It is like a holiday now. People just they love it. So
yeah, I agree.
We'll be back next week. No, we'll be back. We'll be back on Sunday on the Freaking Awesome playlist.
We'll be back on Sunday. We'll see you here in 1 month, coming to you in the future.
See ya.
Steckles.
Have a good one.
All right, guys. Have a great one, y'all. We'll see you next month.
News update for February 5th, 2026. We have some absolutely incredible breakthroughs to talk about today.
So, in today's bulletin, we're going to cover some mind-bending breakthroughs in quantum computing.
Then we're heading over to Mars, where AI is literally taking the wheel.
And we'll even uncover some brand new secrets about ancient life, both here on Earth and maybe beyond. So, let's just dive right in.
Okay, first up, future tech. We're exploring tomorrow's breakthroughs that are, happening today.
So get this. Physicists have figured out a way to make our electronics quieter by basically breaking a standard rule of physics.
Okay, so this is where it gets kind of weird, a little counterintuitive. You know how in your phone or your laptop, the more power you push through it, the more electrical static or interference you get? That's called flicker noise. Well, scientists have created these new nanowires from tantalum and niobium where the exact opposite happens. As you crank up the current, the noise actually goes down. Now, why does that matter? Well, this could be a huge deal for building more stable and reliable quantum computers because those things are just unbelievably sensitive to this kind of noise.
All right, let's jump from the nanoscale all the way to the red planet. NASA's Perseverance rover, wow, it has just done something truly historic. This is a massive milestone for autonomous exploration.
Okay, this is just so cool. For the first time ever, the rover drove a pretty long way using a route that was planned completely by its own onboard AI. Just let that sink in for a second. There was no one back on Earth with a joystick guiding it. The AI itself looked at pictures of the Martian landscape, figured out what was dangerous, big rocks, steep hills, and then plotted a safe path all by itself. This is a gigantic leap forward for exploring places where having a human in the loop is either really hard or just plain impossible.
And staying in the world of tech for one more story, there's a new breakthrough in optics that could totally revolutionize how we communicate wirelessly in the future.
So what's happened is researchers have developed this ultra-thin, specially engineered material. They're calling it a metasurface. And what makes it so amazing is that it can actually bend and focus different channels of light based on one of their properties, their spin. Now, if you can control light that precisely, it means you can cram way more information into our communication systems. We're talking a massive boost in data speeds for pretty much everything, from the fiber optic cables that are the backbone of the internet to the next generation of unbelievably fast computers. Okay, let's shift gears. We've been talking about the future, now let's jump into the distant past. There are some incredible new discoveries that are basically forcing us to rewrite the history books.
And you know what's wild? Our journey into the past actually starts on another planet. Yep, we're talking about Mars again, and it's all thanks to some new revelations from a really famous meteorite that fell right here on Earth. So, scientists use these really advanced scanning techniques on this meteorite they call Black Beauty. And what they found was that it has way more water trapped inside its minerals than anyone ever thought. This is a huge clue. It's really powerful evidence supporting the idea that ancient Mars was a much wetter place. Maybe with oceans, maybe with rivers. And of course, that just strengthens the case that it might have been able to support life at one point.
All right, coming back to Earth now, we've got two totally different discoveries that are shaking up what we thought we knew about some ancient animals.
And this is a really fascinating contrast. So on one side, you have paleontologists who've just identified a brand new type of small, plant-eating dinosaur. It's called Phascea pelindonum. And the really exciting part is that it has some features that are surprisingly bird-like, which could mean we have to rethink parts of that whole dinosaur-to-bird evolution story. Then, on the other side, you've got this incredible story of endurance. DNA analysis has revealed that saltwater crocodiles, get this, swam over 1,800 miles across the open Indian Ocean. They went all the way from Australia to the Seychelles. I mean, that is just an absolutely astonishing journey.
And now for a discovery that is pushing the history of a major human disease way, way back. We're talking thousands of years. So, scientists have managed to pull out the oldest known genome of the bacteria linked to syphilis, and they got it from a 5,500-year-old skeleton found in Colombia. This is a real game changer. Why? Because it strongly suggests that some ancient form of the disease was already in the Americas long, long before European contact. And that just completely flips the old theory about where it came from and how it spread on its head.
Hey, just a quick pause here. If you're finding these updates interesting and you want to keep up with all the latest discoveries, do us a favor and take a second to hit that like and subscribe button. It really, really helps us keep these coming.
All right, for our final section today, we are diving deep into the blueprint of life itself. We've got some amazing new insights into cognition and health.
So it turns out some really complex cognitive skills might be more baked into us from the start than we ever realized.
This is just fascinating stuff. Okay, so in one study, the famous bonobo, Kanzi, actually showed he could do symbolic pretend play. You know, like pretending a toy is something else? That's a really complex skill we used to think was only for humans. Now, at the same time, in a totally different study, researchers used brain scans and found that human babies, at just 2 months old, can already put objects into different categories. So when you put those two discoveries side by side, it really suggests that these advanced thinking skills might be hardwired into our biology, a deeper part of our evolutionary story than we ever knew.
And to wrap things up today, there's a huge step forward in genetics that's opening the door to truly personalized medicine. And this could help millions of people who deal with a really common skin condition.
What researchers have done is they've pinpointed specific genetic signatures that can actually predict how severe someone's psoriasis will be. And not only that, but also how they're likely to respond to certain drugs. They even found a key biomarker, a signature made up of 9 specific genes. Now this is so important because it finally starts to move us away from that one-size-fits-all approach to medicine. It means that pretty soon, a doctor might be able to use a simple genetic test to give you the most effective treatment right from the get-go, one that's tailored specifically to your own unique genetic profile. Just amazing.